Let's talk about what's going to be open and to what degree. We're talking bookstores, florists, some sporting goods, but all curbside?
Yeah, all curbside for now. From our standpoint, one of the things we're ready to go in San Diego. We've really been working on it for the last several weeks with the Economic Recovery Group, really comprised of about 30 business associations representing literally hundreds of thousands of employees with one goal. How do we reopen safely? How do we have phases that make sense with the ability to protect our customers and, of course, protect our employees? And so this is something that we've been focusing on for, as I said, the last several weeks. And it does get to, as you just mentioned, when we reopened our beaches, we did it with a plan developed by lifeguards with our public health officials, a phased approach that's working in San Diego. Other cities are now emulating that. And so we're ready to go. We want to reopen safely. We want to reopen expeditiously and do it, of course, with public health and safety in mind.
So what sort of trajectory are you using in terms of new cases or hospitalizations or however you want to slice it to judge that it's time? And what kind of data would you need to see to reverse that decision?
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head when we were talking about really the percentage of positives per cases. And that's something that we've been tracking in San Diego County, right at about 6 and 7%. You also do look at hospitalizations. You look at capacity. You look at PPE. And so all of those marks in terms of the flatlining, we've been able to hit in San Diego. And we've been working very closely with our county public health officials, because if you do not do it in concert from a public health standpoint and have that consumer confidence and people believing in the policies that you're going to put in place, you're not going to be able to have the successful reopenings that all of us want. And so our approach really has been data-driven, but it's also been driven by, hey, let's develop these procedures in these phases, developed by our small businesses, because they know better than anybody, here are the things that we need to do to keep their employees safe, to keep their customers safe. So we're really hoping that as we continue to move forward here in California, that counties like San Diego that are seeing some of these positive signs have some of the flexibility to move a little bit quicker because we're ready to go.
Mayor Faulconer, I was speaking last week with Qualcomm CEO Steve Mollenkopf, who I know you know well. Qualcomm's got a huge proportion of their workforce working at home now, and it doesn't seem like that's likely to change anytime soon. They're probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest employer that you've got in San Diego. When you've got businesses of that size that are keeping people home, that's got to have an impact on commerce as well. What are those business leaders telling you? How are you communicating with them and with the public about whether it's safe to come out as you do begin to open up?
Well, that's right. And Qualcomm, a great San Diego company, over about 10,000 strong here just within the city. And in talking with the folks at Qualcomm, again, being leaders on telecommuting, on safety precautions, that is going to be the future for a lot of us, including the city of San Diego, in terms of employees being able to work remotely. And so that will not be necessarily a negative thing, to be able to do so safely. And again, I think this is all part of the phases of how are we reopening smart? How are we using technology? How, when we open, do we have all of those precautions in terms of building entrances, staggered work times, all of the things done to, A, keep people safe, and B, promote that consumer confidence that when you walk into a business in San Diego, all of those steps are being taken.
And Mayor, what are you doing about tourism? I think there are going to be a lot of people from California, possibly from surrounding states, who want to come to San Diego as usual, especially if beaches are open and it's starting to be that season. When it comes to contact tracing, when it comes to testing, when it comes to protocols in the sorts of businesses and locations that tourists frequent, what are you doing?
And it's all of the above, and that's incredibly important. So as we are upping our number of tests in San Diego County on a daily basis, hiring additional contact tracers. In fact, we're just talking yesterday, we had 1,000 applications. Moving quickly, moving expeditiously. But again, back to that climate that people understand that, particularly as you go back to our beaches, a very phased approach, developed by lifeguards. And San Diegans are following the rules. I was out there on the beaches myself last week with our lifeguards. You can walk, you can run, surf and swim right now, no sitting down. And to see that compliance I think, bodes extremely well for when we start to reopen our businesses, because San Diegans, just like others in California, do not want to give back the tremendous gains that we've made, the sacrifices that we've made over these last 6 weeks. So I think that's why it's incredibly important for mayors like myself to have these clear policies, to communicate them, and then give benchmarks that says, here's how we're hitting them so we can go to other phases.
The other big news, we're going to talk a lot more about state and local employment in the months to come, especially on the heels of this estimated state budget deficit of $54 billion.
Yeah.
Do you foresee large cuts to road maintenance, first responders? What's going to happen to employment, at least on a local basis?
Yeah, San Diego's impacted just like other cities. Our estimated revenue shortfalls is going to be about $300 million. So I'm going to make some of those tough decisions now. I'm not going to kick the can down the road, but I'm going to do it on priority city services. So you're not going to see reductions in police officers and firefighters. We're going to continue our road repair, but we're going to make reductions in other places. We've been planning, and we've had some pretty healthy reserves for a rainy day such as this. But the most important thing we can do, I think, is to not delay some of these decisions now, because it's just going to make it worse in future out years. And so I'm really big on making sure that we're matching one-time expenditures with one-time revenue and not using, ongoing to replace that. And so those aren't easy decisions for any mayor to make, but we have to do them, and we have to do them now so we can get ourselves over the hump sooner rather than later.